When you've got the biggest technological trend of any asset class in all of history, you're going to make a lot of money if that trend continues. This is why it's the biggest macro trend of all time. But it goes on. You don't need the massive liquidity, you just need liquidity. And so that's where we think it might go. Let's see how it plays out. That corresponds with the log channel in Bitcoin, obviously. And that would give us something like a forecast of around 270,000 by the end of this year. It's going up a decent amount. Is it 150,000? Is it 250,000? Is something in the middle? I don't know, and I don't really care.
Bitcoin's price could still more than double this year. Bitcoin has pulled back in recent weeks, sliding 11% from its all-time high of around $73,000 in March of this year. The Middle East has emerged as a hotspot for cryptocurrency adoption, according to a recent report by BitGet Research. The average daily number of crypto traders in the region soared to 500,000 in 2024. This figure represents an increase of 166% year over year. Ex-Goldman Sachs executive Raoul says a chart that has tracked well in the last 5 years indicates Bitcoin and crypto are very much on schedule to hit 4 billion users. Powell's prediction is based on a model that compares the adoption rate of the internet during its early years versus crypto's user growth rate since 2016. When it first hit 1 million users. Regarding the price of Bitcoin, Raoul suggests that whether it reaches $150,000, $250,000, or falls somewhere in between is uncertain and not particularly important. Standard Chartered is among the most bullish Bitcoin forecasters on Wall Street, and the firm has also predicted Bitcoin could climb to $250,000 in 2025, implying a 266% upside from the coin's levels in March. Even renowned financial author Robert Kiyosaki and Galaxy Digital CEO Michael Novogratz have expressed confidence in Bitcoin's potential, with price targets of $100,000 and beyond. Furthermore, Raoul compares Bitcoin to global liquidity, highlighting its remarkable outperformance, surpassing debasement by a staggering 105% annually. This stark comparison underscores Bitcoin's resilience in contrast to the stagnant or negative performance often observed in global equities. Ready to delve deeper into insightful content? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay updated with our latest content.
Bitcoin has the longest price history. It too is stunningly correlated with global liquidity. You see, Bitcoin has an 87.5% correlation, not as high as the NASDAQ, because, as you can see, it's the periods of outperformance that lowers that correlation. When we start to get, full kind of mania, crypto mania cycles that you get in this exponential asset, because it is a much more exponential curve, because it's driven by tech adoption. And we'll come on to that in a second as well. But you can see that liquidity is the driver of Bitcoin plus technology. But when I look at Bitcoin versus global liquidity, it's outperforming the debasement by 105% a year. I mean, that's a staggering difference versus global equities, which are not doing anything at all and are probably negative. That's a huge, huge difference in your future purchasing power, which is why this is such an important asset. And again, I'll come on to more of this in a bit. But we've ascertained that technology stocks are in a secular bull market. They're 97.5% correlated, but they've been rising very well over time. However, when you look at NASDAQ versus Bitcoin, this is a crucial chart. So NASDAQ is the best performing equity market in the world, essentially. But when you look at it versus Bitcoin, since this period of debasement, NASDAQ has underperformed by 99.93%. Just wrap your head around that. And it doesn't stop. It's underperforming by 45% a year. And as you can see, we're going to break to new lows, and this chart will just continue as Bitcoin and crypto eat the world. It's something I call the supermassive black hole. I look at Bitcoin charts versus every asset, and they're all the same. They're all down 99.9 something percent. When you've got the biggest technological trend of any asset class in all of history, you're going to make a lot of money if that trend continues. This is why it's the biggest macro trend of all time. But it goes on. If we look out further using the internet adoption growth, and we slow down the trend rate of growth of crypto to the same as the internet going forwards, we get to 4 billion users by 2030. That's half the world's population. Now, will this be perfect? It's been pretty perfect so far. I've been showing this chart for 5 years now, but let's assume not. Either way, these numbers are simply staggering. And that's why you get that log chart of Bitcoin over time, because it's the adoption curve is what you're seeing, which is why the sell-offs, even though they sound terrifying, down 75%, are just blips in the overall trend. And over time, it just keeps compounding growth. You see, to show how starkly this compounds growth, this chart of all of the asset markets since 2011, I think is hilarious. So you've got the usual NASDAQ, blah, blah, blah. So we can look, ignore the top three for a second. NASDAQ, 17%, beating the debasement, that 12% number, and compounded 800% since 2011. That's a fucking good investment. What a great investment the NASDAQ's been. Then we go up. Look at the top, Bitcoin. Bitcoin, the next 3 years in a row, it's the best performing asset in the world. And even with the drawdowns, those scary drawdowns that everybody hates, it's compounded 20 million% returns. Since we started talking about Bitcoin on Real Vision in 2014, it's up 450,000%. Its annualized return is 139%. Mind-blowing, right? We've never, ever in history been given an asset like this.
At their peak, spot Bitcoin ETFs saw up to $1 billion in daily net inflows, the result of institutional investors reallocating investments from the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust to the new ETFs. The Bitcoin halving, an important event occurring roughly every 4 years, reduces the block reward for miners by half. Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency, marked a significant milestone on Friday evening as it completed its fourth halving. Despite some ups and downs, Bitcoin held steady at around $64,100 before this important event. However, with the halving now complete, many experts are predicting a bullish surge for Bitcoin shortly. After the halvings in 2012, 2016, and 2020, Bitcoin's value shot up about 93 times, 30 times, and 8 times respectively, from halving day to peak cycle. According to Raoul, around this time in 2020, Ethereum started to bottom out against Bitcoin, then gradually gained momentum like a rocket ship over the following year. It's typical for Bitcoin to outperform during crypto spring. Powell's forecast indicates that sometime in 2024, we'll likely see the total market capitalization of old coins hitting its all-time high, triggering a frenzy in the chart. Now let's redirect our attention to a video.
What I'm saying is, using our model, we see significant continued upside into 2025, where then liquidity starts falling, and so sometime around the second half of the year, we will see a topping pattern in Bitcoin and therefore crypto. And it suggests that it should be strong. Even if you halve my targets, not targets, halve the analysis that comes out of the model, that's still a great year. That's my point. Please do not tell me that I'm forecasting $400,000 Bitcoin. I'm not going to take that because people deal with it irresponsibly, and that's not the right thing. I'm just saying it's going up a lot. Also, Fed liquidity is the driver of the ETH Bitcoin cross, which is a proxy for altcoin season. Now, it's very interesting because we're now coming into the halving. And it was roughly at this point back in 2020 that ETH started bottoming versus Bitcoin, and then took a while to base and then went up like a rocket ship for the entire next year. I managed to capture that entire trend. And it's very normal for crypto spring for Bitcoin to outperform. And then as we come into crypto summer that we're transitioning into now, ETH starts to outperform Bitcoin. This is a terribly unpopular thing to say because people say, well, ETH is dead. It's a dead chain. It's not working, blah, 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 blah. Just wait. Have patience. You'll see. Will it outperform Solana? I very much doubt it. Solana's earlier in the adoption curve, so it means the percentage changes are larger. So that's how I see it with that. You can see the start of crypto spring, which was the breakout of this pattern and the slight acceleration. That's as we're getting to warmer days of spring, as it were. But really, summer happens when you break the previous all-time high in market cap and things go utterly bananas. So this is ethereum. So this is the rest of the space really starting to accelerate. And sometime in 2024, we will hit all-time high market cap of altcoins, and this chart will go truly into the banana zone.
The miners who chisel bitcoins out of complex mathematics are taking a 50% pay cut, effectively reducing the new production of the world's largest cryptocurrency again. Bitcoin's latest halving occurred Friday night. With Bitcoin currently hovering above $64,000, many experts predict a price surge based on past halving trends, with some expecting Bitcoin to reach $100,000, $200,000, or even above. Now, all eyes are on what will happen down the road. We welcome your insights in the comments section below. If you found this content valuable, don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to stay informed. Thank you for joining us on this journey.